Welcome to the Runway, where we cover current events in crypto, Web3, and tech. Today's Runway covers a spectrum of critical developments in the crypto space, from legal entanglements, regulatory milestones, sustainability initiatives, and more arbitrary and capricious behavior from the SEC. It's Thursday, November 2nd. Let's take off. SafeMoon CEO and Chief Technology Officer were arrested, accused of withdrawing more than $200 million to buy luxury cars and homes from funds that they told investors were locked, according to the DOJ and the regulator. So it looks like the Department of Justice and the SEC is going after SafeMoon, which some kind of ridiculous meme coin. It's good to see, bad actors and scammers and, Ponzi schemers held to account, by the Department of Justice. At least they're getting something right here. The SEC, their classic little story that everything is an unregistered security, which is just ridiculous. We have laws on the books for what these guys did. They basically committed fraud, lied, took money that was supposed to be locked in some kind of contract. They bought a bunch of diverted, funds from contracts to buying, sports cars and all sorts of stuff. There are laws on the book to deal with this type of behavior, this fraud, this, market manipulation, all of this stuff. I think that it's a good thing the Department of Justice is going after these scammers. That being said, this coin I remember during the previous, bull market, talking to people that I knew or that I met, and, pretty much everybody knew this was some kind of, pump and dump scam nonsense. Even the people that had put money in said, it's just a lottery ticket. Oh, I know there's nothing here. It's just, but it'll go up, so that was kind of the mindset. So at some point, people need to take personal accountability for their behavior and actions. And a lot of it is kind of wasted, especially here with the SEC looking to probably take another loss in a case, but or you're looking for an easy win here. Apparently, is what it looks like. Probably because these guys are going to disappear and they might just win by default. Luckily, with the Ripple ruling, we basically have precedent set now that every crypto asset is treated differently, which makes it very difficult for the SEC to try to get just case law on the books that says all cryptocurrencies are securities. So let's move on to our next story, which is more arbitrary and capricious behavior, most likely by the SEC. PayPal faces SEC action related to Pi USD stablecoin. PayPal was the first significant fintech firm to adopt digital currencies for payments and transfers after launching its stablecoin in August. So this is more antagonistic behavior by the SEC toward our industry. They're issuing a subpoena here against PayPal. I think PayPal's sort of done everything to essentially comply with all laws and regulations and sort of offer this financial technology to the world. We can discuss the merits of PayPal, who have the ability to sort of censor speech and whatever they believe is hateful speech, very arbitrary. They can sort of seize your funds and confiscate your funds, and they try to slip a couple of those things into their agreements. So we can debate and discuss the merits of that type of policy by a company, but it is an option. The PYUSD is just another option for consumers, another option for customers. People don't have to use it; they can use it if they want. PayPal does have a successful track record. PYUSD is now available on traditional financial tech products like Venmo. This is just, in my personal opinion, more arbitrary and capricious behavior by the SEC. I think they're just looking for another loss by the judicial system. But we will see here if they decide to pursue any antagonistic behavior. Gary Gensler teases details of SEC's $5 billion take from enforcement action. Let's pull this up. Looks like this was from a couple days ago, October 26th. While talking about the economic perspective of SEC's enforcement action, Gensler noted that the agency filed more than 780 enforcement actions in 2023, including over 500 standalone cases. The enforcement actions led to judgments and orders totaling $5 billion, of which $930 million was distributed to harmed investors. They made $5 billion, but only gave less than 20% of it back to harmed investors. That seems like some kind of racket. Let's move on to the next story. Abu Dhabi Global Market introduces comprehensive DLT Foundation regulations. The Abu Dhabi Global Market Free Financial Zone has introduced regulations governing distributed ledger technology foundations that are the first of their kind. Cool to see other areas of the world getting this thing right, laying the groundwork for future Web3 companies and institutions and stuff like DAOs, which are decentralized autonomous organizations, to sort of have a legal framework to operate in different areas. So this is amazing. Really love to see this. And this will attract business. This will will bring investment. This will create jobs. The Distributed Ledger Technology Foundation's regulations will provide for the operation of blockchain foundations, Web3 entities, decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, and traditional foundations expanding into DLT. Blockchain foundations provide financial and other forms of support for a blockchain without direct involvement in it. Very interesting. You're seeing other areas of the world really embrace the technology, and that's historically been what the U.S. has done. But as you can see from our previous story with Gary Gensler and the SEC going after a fintech company like PayPal, basically doing the exact opposite. This is really cool to see. There will be frameworks for DAOs and frameworks for all sorts of different types of Web3 native entities. Very cool. Very interesting to see here. Let's move on. Talk a little bit about Bitcoin. 15 years after the Bitcoin white paper, Bitcoin builder culture flourishes. A pretty cool milestone this week. It's been 15 years since Satoshi launched the initial and released the initial Bitcoin white paper. In the world of crypto, there is one document that is the Bible, Declaration of Independence, and foundational blueprint for an entire industry, the Bitcoin white paper, authored by the pseudonymous Satoshi Nakamoto and released on October 31st, 2008. This revolutionary document marks its 15th anniversary today. Today is not merely a milestone, but a testament to the enduring importance of a decentralized future. As we celebrate this day in Bitcoin culture, it's worth reflecting on the significance of the white paper and its impact on the world. The Bitcoin white paper, officially titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, emerged following the global financial crisis of 2008, which left many disillusioned with traditional banking. Nakamoto's vision was clear: to create a currency free from the shackles of government, make it censorship-resistant and borderless, all solutions to the problems of then and to the problems of now. Looks like a very cool article by Aubrey Strobel from CoinDesk. For all of those who haven't read the Bitcoin white paper and who are interested in crypto and Web3 and tech, I highly recommend just pulling up the Bitcoin white paper, and you can print it out and you can read it in less than an hour. And there's a lot of parts of the Bitcoin white paper that are just very easy to understand. It's a read that can be done in less than 30 minutes. It's a couple pages long, and it's very interesting. Let's talk. This guy, Luke Broyles, he's pretty cool. He's putting out a lot of really cool tweets. Here's one that I pulled that I thought was just an interesting kind of thought-provoking tweet. I know a lot of people with 30% to 99% allocations to Bitcoin. So, obviously a lot of us who are engrossed in the space and who, live and, breathe decentralization, privacy, Web3, tech, have very strong allocations. And because we believe in the technology, we believe in the industry, and we believe in the fundamental values of what Bitcoin, the ethos of what Bitcoin represents. Secondly, he says, I know a lot of people with 0% allocation to Bitcoin. So he's talking about, no coiners or people who think it's, rat poison or whatever they've been saying over the years, the Peter Schiffs of the world. I know very few with allocations between 1% and 30%. What does this tell you? Very interesting, thought-provoking idea, and I think that we're going to see over the next decade, especially with the ETF approvals looking like they're imminent after the judicial system sort of crushing the SEC in court, telling them that their decisions are arbitrary and capricious. I think we're going to see those ETFs sooner rather than later, and I think you're going to see a lot of traditional financial investors and especially financial advisors just passively allocate, between a 1% to 30% allocation to the asset, even 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. Of traditional portfolios. That's trillions of dollars, right? And larger than the whole current market cap of Bitcoin currently. So I think that could very quickly become a reality, and that's just long-term systemic buy pressure on the asset. So I think it's an important narrative to watch as we head into these ETF approvals and as these options become available for more investors. Next up, full disclosure, I am an investor in Marathon. I do own the stock. I think it's a great company. That's my opinion. And I put my money where my mouth is. But I did come across the story today as well, and I thought was very interesting. Let me move this over so we can see it a little better. I read it. Bitcoin miner Marathon tests BTC mining with methane gas from waste landfill. I think this is an interesting thing happening in mining right now. The mining project focuses on using methane gas generated from landfill waste for the mining operations. Marathon has launched a trial mining plant in Utah that uses methane gas generated from landfill waste to create electricity to power mining operations. The miner collaborated with Nodal Power for the 280 kilowatt test project, according to a statement. Marathon may extend its methane-powered operations if the test project satisfies its objectives. Marathon's pilot project is a part of a broader initiative being conducted by the company to validate its ability to capture methane emitted from landfills, convert it into electricity, and then use that electricity to power Bitcoin miners, the company said in a press release. If the methane isn't captured, it goes into the atmosphere, and I know it causes a lot of carbon problems, and it's a big issue with climate change. It's a major complaint from the scientific community. The methane naturally produced from landfills, bio-waste, and elsewhere is often stranded, and Bitcoin miners like Marathon are uniquely positioned to help convert this harmful gas into a productive source of clean, renewable energy, Fred Thiel, the chairman and chief executive officer of Marathon, stated. So, according to the United Nations Environmental Program, methane gas is 80 times more hazardous than carbon dioxide for the first 20 years after it is discharged into the environment. Meanwhile, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, municipal solid waste emissions will account for 14.3% of total methane emissions in the United States in 2021. So I think this is really cool. It kind of shows that there's a lot of types of waste and energy that's not being captured or utilized in a clean way that now can be sort of burned cleanly, and that methane won't go into the atmosphere. It'll sort of be utilized to support a global decentralized monetary network. This is just a pilot, 280 kilowatts. That's not very large at all for a mining company like this. That's about a quarter of a megawatt. This little test project is probably powering somewhere between 20 and 50 miners, maybe up to 100 miners depending on efficiency. But very cool to see, and if the pilot goes well and it's feasible, this can definitely be expanded to different landfills and to different locations and on a much higher scale. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay blessed, never stop learning, and keep an open mind. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good one.
The Runway Podcast.